These are the 5 things that we did not expect or had to get used to after moving to Rhode Island from California. Number 5, home inspections. Not the home inspections you definitely should get if you're buying a new house, but this involved enrolling our son into school. So before he could even begin attending school in Rhode Island, somebody from the school district had to come to the house to make sure that he had a bedroom and that he was living in the house. My recommendation is if you are moving to a new area and your children will be attending public school, is to contact the school district. One would be to verify their registration process, and the other would be to confirm boundaries and which school they would be zoned for depending on where you were going to live. Number 4, food. There are so many mom and pop, locally owned restaurants in Rhode Island. Even if you went out to eat every day of the week, you would still not eat at all the restaurants, and you wouldn't even be able to repeat. Actually, let me check Google to see how many restaurants are in Rhode Island. Okay, so according to this website, Rentec Digital, not too sure of the accuracy, but it says there's 599 restaurants in Rhode Island. So 365 days in the year, you're definitely not eating at all the restaurants. Now, this wasn't even something that was on our list of things that would be important to us when looking at a neighborhood. But in the future, this will be, because just within walking distance of our house, there's over a dozen restaurants, and a majority of them are Italian restaurants. So the next time that we happen to have to move, we will look to see what's the accessibility of the restaurants, because we've gotten so used to having such good food so close to us. Number 3, New England courtesy. Not the courtesy that's in, not the definition of courtesy that you'd find in the dictionary per se, but this involves driving. So if you're ever driving in Rhode Island, be prepared to stop in the middle of the road. And the reason for this is people will be driving down the road, and I'm even talking a busy main road that's 2 lanes on each side, and they'll stop to let somebody turn out from a business or turn out from a side street. Now, I know what you might be thinking. Oh, that's nice. They think about other drivers and let them out, but it really messes up the flow of traffic. If they would just keep driving, then the person probably would be able to go like less than a minute later. Now, it makes sense if it's a busy street, the streets are narrow, and there's no way that person would be able to turn out otherwise. That makes sense. But to be driving down the street and just stop right when you see somebody that needs to turn out from a side street or a business, that's where it becomes a problem. And I've seen it before where people almost get in an accident, or I've come upon accidents because the person turning out also has to go into the other direction of traffic. And sometimes they get hit because the other direction is not anticipating somebody pulling out in front of them. Number 2, locks. Not the cute little padlocks that you find on random fences in different cities. We were used to locking up everything. Not only, of course, you lock up your house, obviously you lock up your car, but you lock up your gate to your backyard, your shed, your mail, because if you don't lock it up, there's a high likelihood things are going to be stolen. Now, things can be stolen even though it's locked up, but the chances are, if it's locked up, a little less likely that it's going to get stolen. So that's what we were used to in California. Then we moved here, and mail's not locked up. There are no fences for backyards for the most part, and cars are left unlocked. Sheds don't have locks. So that was something very hard to get used to. We were used to our mail being locked up in a community mailbox, and now our mail was just put into a mailbox right outside of our door. And I'll never forget my husband saying, "Oh my goodness, why don't they lock up the mail? Like, the mail is going to get stolen." On top of that, the shed that we were using didn't have a lock on it, so we thought, definitely, things are going to get stolen. And it took us a while before we were comfortable with leaving things in the yard, not locked up in a shed or in our basement. If you happen to live in an area where there's high theft or crime, just know there are other places without a lot of crime. And I hope that really doesn't change for here. It happens, but not as often as it did when we were in California. So that's something to consider if you're moving to another area. You can contact the police department to find out how often there are crimes and what types of crimes. Number 1, insurance. It's expensive. All the insurance, car, home, health insurance, it's at least double of what we were paying in California. And that's something we did not expect at all. So apparently, because of the amount of claims and fraud, the insurance is a lot more expensive here in Rhode Island. Now, insurance is something that I never heard anybody talk about when moving to another area. You know, some people will mention the cost of whether or not they have state tax, the property tax, but insurance, never thought about insurance. So if you're moving to another area, check out the insurance rates so you're not surprised that they're more expensive. And hopefully you're moving to an area where they're cheaper. So those were the 5 things that we didn't expect or we had to get used to. Hopefully some of the tips for things to think about if you happen to be moving helped. Thanks for watching. Bye.